this topic, you will learn a few leadership theories, and then we are going to summarize the conclusion of one of it, which is trait theories, and then behavioral theories. Then we are going to learn about contingency theories of leadership, and then describe the contemporary theories of leadership and their relationship to foundational theories. What are the roles of leaders in creating ethical organization, and then describe how leaders can have a positive impact on their organization through trust building and also mentoring. And lastly is we are going to take a look at the challenge to leadership. Okay, so first of all, before we go to the theories of leadership, so we want to know what leadership means. Okay, so when you are a leader, means that it comes from the word lead, means that you are the source of guideline. You are someone that can, a leader can motivate and then can influence a group of people, okay, towards to achieve something, right? So in organization, if you are a leader, means that it's an ability for you to influence a group towards achievement, which is company's objective, towards everybody understand about the company's mission, vision, and so on. Okay, not all leaders are managers, and not all managers are leaders. Okay, so if you are a manager in company, means that you have a legitimate power. So I just kind of like mix up together a little bit about leadership and power. So if you are a manager, means that you have a legitimate power, means that you also have a legitimate role to instruct anyone that works under your supervision to do something, okay, to complete their tasks, for example, and then to provide instructions, to provide feedback, and so on. Okay, that is a manager. However, leader, it doesn't have to be a manager, because leader is someone who have influence in organization. For example, they have influence on decision making, they have influence on motivation, right? Maybe even though that he or she is not a manager, but they can influence you to become more motivated to your life, to your work life, sorry. And then they can provide you a sense of like a role model. Okay, so that can be a leader, not having a legitimate power, but they have an influence power, okay, or maybe a referent power. Okay, so non-sanctioned leadership is often as important or more important than formal influence. Okay, meaning that this is, like I've mentioned to you, let's say if the leader does not have legitimate power, so means that this is an informal leadership. Okay, so it doesn't have to be someone that you have to report to. It doesn't have to be someone that is your your reporting director. Let me say it can be your mentor. Okay, it does not necessarily be in the chain of command. For example, like if you are inspired, or if you your work behavior ataupun your work style is actually inspired by a specific person, like it considered as like your mentor. So that one is what we call as informal leadership. So an effective leader definitely one of the characteristic is they have an ability to influence, right? In organization, it's very important because theoretically, when you work in an organization, you try to achieve the company's goal, you try to achieve the company's objective. So an effective leader, they influence all the employees under their supervision to achieve that goal. Okay, so the first one is what we call as the trait theories. Okay, trait theories of leadership. It comes from the word traits, right? So this one focus on the personal qualities and characteristics. Okay, so an assumption is leader is born, not me. Under this theory, feel free to write anything in the chat box, right? To share your experience as a leader, or to share your experience with your leader. And then what do you think about leader, whether it's born or made? So feel free to use the chat for open discussion. Okay, under the trait theory, it's like actually an assumptions that leader are born, right? Means that when leader are born, they have this, when they become a leader, so they have this kind of like characteristic personalities that contributes to the leadership style ataupun leadership activities. If, for example, this search of personality, okay, for example, have an ability like have a charisma, and then very firm, very strong in decision making, able to influence people, maybe become more what we call it, like it can become a motivator, more inspiring, something like that. Okay, it is focused on the traits, the characteristic that assume that they are born with it. They have distinctive physical personality traits and also the psychological. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this is one of the theory that we can use to relate with traits theory, which is in terms of okay. Uh, As you can see here, through the factor analysis of personal assessment, researchers found that personality traits can be grouped into 5 factors, which is emotional stability, extraversion, openness to experience, agreeableness, and consciousness. Okay, so this relates with the trait theory lah, right? And but this one is called as Big Five theory. So good leaders who like being around people, they are able to assert themselves, which means that it's more extroverted, and then they are disciplined, okay, able to keep commitments as they make. So this one is considered as conscious, right? And then have an apparent advantage when it comes to leadership. Like I've mentioned just now, they have a distinctive traits to as a leader, right? Something that you look into in your leader, and then under trait theory means that leader have in how to identify leaders is because they have this kind of leadership qualities ataupun traits. Okay, next is another theory is behavioral theory. Okay, so behavioral theory is opposite, or bukan, not opposite, but it's like a yeah, opposite to the assumptions that leader are born and is not made. So under behavioral theories, it can conclude, or it can be suggested that you can make leaders, right, by having a certain behavior. Imply that we can train people to become a leader. So let's say if you are not born with characteristic as a leader, um, naturally, but you can be trained, right, by having a certain quality, and then by behaving in a certain manner, right? So under one study, okay, Ohio State study found out that two behaviors that are accounted for most leadership behavior, which is initiating structure and consideration, right? So for initiating structure, meaning that that is the first thing when we talk about leadership, means that we need to have a proper structure lah. Means who is your subordinates, okay? Who is the people that you're going to influence, to motivate, to inspire, and so on. Okay. And next is in terms of the consideration when you become a leader. So one of the behavior and the behavior theory is to have a good consideration of the people that you work with. The group study suggests there are international differences in preference for initiating structure and consideration. So found that the leaders high in consideration would success best in the culture that did not favor unilateral decision making. So this is one of, however, under behavioral theories, you not every leader, not every leader should have a same behavior. You should go back to the group study, which suggested that different culture, they have a different practices, right? So this includes as well in leadership. Let's say in a culture where more individualistic and so on, maybe the behavior that you required there as a leader is different. And let's say if you are in a country practice more collectivism, maybe you should focus more on the interpersonal relationship in the work. Right? You as a leader, you need to have like a very good interpersonal skill, because that is one of the characteristic, or one of the things that your followers might look into as you as a leader, to make sure that people are following you. Okay, people, because when we talk about leadership, if the leadership style is not appropriate according to the situation ataupun according to the team, so it might not work. Okay, it might not be an effective one. So the summary of trait theories and behavioral theories is that it both focus on the characteristic. One is born with and one is can be trained with, right? Leaders who have certain traits and who display a culturally appropriate consideration and structuring behaviors do appear to be more effective, right? However, traits and behavior, they do not guarantee success. Because of why? Because go back to the things that we have learned before this: emotion, personality, and preference. So when you work in an organization, it might not work for everybody, because everybody, we all of us, we have a different characteristic, we have a different preference style of management. So by having, let's say if you have this good traits, you are able to make decision, you are firm, you are a good in interpersonal skill and so on, but somehow it doesn't work because other things, okay, other contexts, maybe in terms of the culture at the workplace, maybe in terms of the um, individual factors lah, your followers ataupun your subordinates, right? And then maybe you, let's say if you are an employee and then you don't feel comfortable with your leader, and then and so on, but others say that the leader are good, effective, they like being under his or her management. So maybe there are certain things that it's just not suit your preference. Maybe the traits and behavior is okay, but it does not guarantee the success. That's why we have a lot of leadership theories, for example, like situational theories, where uh, leaders, they should change their leadership style according to the situation that they are in. Okay. Next is what we call as contingency theory. So this is very old theory, like in on the 60s. Okay. So Fiedler contingency model effective group performance depend on a proper match between the leader's style of interacting with our subordinates. Okay, so now you can see the development, right? Before this, the trait theory and behavioral theory, it focus on the on the traits and then on the behavior, but it has been developed where we call as contingency, where like I've mentioned just now, even though that you have a certain traits, if you have you behave in a certain way, but it need to be this one. Okay, the keyword in the contingency theory is to have a proper match between your style of interacting and then with subordinates. Okay, I'm not saying that if you are a leader that you should. This one is the theory, means that you can integrate in your life, means apply it when necessary. Okay, it's not that you gonna choose one theory and then practice it. No, apply it when necessary. The least preferred coworkers. We have this one questionnaire. This one LPC is a mechanism, or this is like what do we call it? An assessment. Okay, an assessment to find out, to study more about contingency model. All right. So under contingency theory, okay, this one is related to the situational theory that I've mentioned just now. Okay, based on the situation. Okay, contingency dimension, we have three things. Okay, under contingency theory, we have three dimensions, which we call as leader-member relations, and then task power and position power. So let's take a look at tak ada. Okay, sekejap, let me just open up. LPC. Let's try this one. Banana. Okay. Yes, everyone, is there anything you want to say?
No problem.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the components of feedless model. Okay. So the first component of the contingency model is to determine your natural leadership style. You are influenced by life experience. You possess a unique leadership style. So they are using the least preferred co-workers, or LPC, as a scale to determine to rate the feelings of subordinates, right? Ataupun someone that you least enjoy working with. For me, for me, this one sounds like, most of the questionnaires ataupun most of the scale where we try to come out with the most preferred, right? But this one is the terbalik sikit. So us feeling for someone you least enjoy working with. Okay. So this is the skill. All right. As you can see here, we have like positive and negative. Positive, you can see that a lot of positive behavior, positive characteristic, and then negative here is, definitely something that we don't want to see in our worker lah, or with our colleague ataupun our co-worker. So let's say if you have a high score, 7 to 3 and above, you are relationship-oriented leader. And if you scored 54 and below, means that you are task-oriented leader. We have the kind of leader, ataupun we have kind of people. I think, okay, I'm not sure whether we have learned about motivation. I think we have learned about motivation. If you remember this one, okay, I patah balik sekejap. Dekat three needs theory, McClellan's theory. Okay, so under McClellan's theory, it shows that not every, I mean everyone at work, this one in an organizational context. So they identify three things ataupun three needs and workers need in an organization, okay, to make them motivate when they are working, ataupun when they do their work. This is something that they need. They focus more. They need more to excel more. Okay. The first one is the need for power. Second one is need for achievement, and the third one is need for affiliation. Why do this exist? Because it was determined that not everybody in a workplace are craving for powers. Not everybody wants to make decision. And then not power or achievement is not something that people enjoy or make like a priority when they are working, or make a priority uh, to choose to be happy working in the organization, to feel job satisfaction and so on. Okay, so and then need for power, meaning that in order for you to be satisfied with your job, to for you to excel more, you need power. This is not a bad thing. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It means that you want a power influence, you want to have ability to influence other people, you want to be the one that make decision, you like to have to step forward, to become a leader, and then you want to be proactive, you want um, people to listen to you, but in a good way. It's supposed to be in a good way. You want people to listen to you, you want to have a power to direct, to influence, to give orders for someone that can follow your way of work, listen to your ideas and so on. Okay, if you have that strongly, this one semua orang nak macam tu. I understand. Siapa yang tak nak orang dengar kita punya idea semua? Yes, but this is, I mean, like strongly. This is your focus. And maybe if you have this, okay, if you have need for power, you kind of like tutup mata, or you don't need this, right? You don't need affiliation, because when you come to work, you think that no, there is no need for me to be goody-goody with people, right? I come to work, and then I have to settle, and then I have to focus on my task. That's why we have task oriented, and then we have people oriented. All right, task oriented meaning that you focus on getting the things done, you focus on the output. But if you are a people oriented, you focus on the people to make the output, you focus on the people to motivate them, to influence them, to make that happen. All right. So if you have a need for power, maybe, right, you have a strong urge for power, but you don't need this. Need for affiliation means that you put interpersonal relationship is one of the main priority for you at work, to have a good a good environment, good culture, right? You want to, and if you have this need for affiliation, meaning that you want it to be someone that can be rely on. You like interacting with people. You like do everything like together. A high need of teamwork spirit. You are you want to have that kind of sense of belonging. You need a good social interaction with people. You might have a lot of informal relationship with them as well outside the workplace. So that kind of need for affiliation. Focus more on the people oriented. um, you want people to, instead of listen to you, you want to be all of this related. Okay, you want to be conform with them. Okay, social conformity. You want to be a part of something. You want to be you have apa orang panggil tu, a good relationship lah with people. Okay, and task oriented just now can be for need for achievement as well. Okay, you focus more on the task. You put maybe less need on the interpersonal, where you spend a lot of time rather than being being in a team or being in a, what we call it, like I'm not saying that if you are need for achievement people you are not helpful, no, but need for affiliation. If you receive a task, the first thing that you will see that, okay, come on everybody, let's do it. Okay, what do you need? So you kind of put people first, right? Kalau need for achievement, if you receive a task, you started by having a outline first, and then you have a proper, you start with the things first, and then if others want to join you, then you just welcome. But if let's say others oppose you ke, ataupun you don't feel bad if people are not try to apa orang panggil, not you are okay working alone, for example, as long as the task done. When you come to work, you don't you just focus on getting things done the right way. Try to try to come up with the job that is perfect. That's all you think about, rather than maybe balance, because it doesn't mean that if you need this then you don't need this. Okay, no, like I've mentioned just now, it's like a strong urge, strong preference. Okay, stronger preference, right? So yeah, go back to this. Okay, go back to this. So let's say I mean, you, let's say for people yang ada need for affiliation, maybe in terms of friendly they will put 8, but maybe if you are in need for achievement, in terms of friendly, maybe you put 4, 5. Okay, that's how it relates lah. Okay. Okay, so under contingency theories, right? Under contingency theories, we have 3 things that we it's kind of the elements. Okay, the elements under this contingency theory. So the first thing is leader member relations. Okay, so leader member relation, this focus on the leader and their team, right? A leader with more trust and influence within the group is in more favorable situation to lead them, right? With how to say, just now, right? Like this one, leader member relation is might be this lah, need for affiliation, right? Where leader put a strong emphasis on getting the trust from the member, from the subordinates. Task structure refers to the tasks that have been assigned and how clearly they have been communicated to the team, right? Specifically, outlining task threatened allows you to better outcome and cultivate trust, thereby strengthening your situational control. So this one is focus on the task structure. So let's say if that one is need for achievement lah. And then lastly is in terms of the position power, where relates to the amount of authority that a leader show to the member. Right, so this can be this is how they portray this is by true rewards and punishment. Okay, so if you have a task structure, okay, if you have a better task structure, means that you focus more on the work policy, ataupun you have a clear policy on how to do work, so that's how you lead, right? If leader members, you focus on your lead members' feelings, you try to motivate them and so on. Okay, where is it? Like I've mentioned just now, this is related to a lot with situational leadership theory. Okay, this is a contingency theory that focus on the followers, right? Successful leadership is achieved by selecting the right leadership style, which is contingent on the level of followers' readiness, right? Okay, the contrast to contingency theory is we have a path goal theory. Okay, path goal theory means that contingency model of leadership extract key elements from the research more on the initiating structure and consideration the expectancy theory of motivation. And under this theory is derived from the belief that effective leaders clarify the path to help followers achieve work goals. So actually this is focused more on the goals, objective, and then provide a specific guideline for the employee. Okay, so this is OB poll. How are you developing your leadership skill? Okay, in order for you to attain your leadership skill, the highest one is 27%, which is reading leadership materials. Okay, I think for me as well, right? For me, not leadership lah. In order for me to get ataupun to behave in a certain way, to get more information on the certain traits and personality ke, ataupun the things that I have to do, for example, like in a workplace, how to interact with this, how to interact with that. So for me, I kind of like agree by reading a lot of materials helps as well. And then attending conferences, obtaining employee feedback, right? So 24% by obtaining employee feedback. So if you are a leader in this class, if you are a leader in your organization, so you may try ataupun if you haven't, okay, if you haven't, so get employees feedback on you, because normally for a leader, they are the one who will give feedback to their employees, right? Performance review and whatnot. So maybe to learn about especially it will help in terms of situational contingency theory just now. You wanted to know if it match with the working style you and your subordinates. Um, it can be in a form of survey, but of course they will say good things, right? Of course they will. I mean, the data might not be as accurate as we want, because it will be based on fear. Yeah. Okay. So I think in my opinion, before we can start obtaining employees feedback, you have to build some culture first. All right. Maybe employee feedback is after you have developed a culture where you have in your employees trust, and then you build the culture of two-way communication. So maybe it will be the data might be a little bit accurate compared to if you don't have this kind of culture. End up you will receive only good things, and also it doesn't really help the actual things, right? No, actual problem, sorry. And then 19% is listening to mentor. I've hit as well. In order for you to become a good, in order for us to become a good leader, we should have a good mentor, right? And learn so much from them. Other activities such as obtaining further education, maybe by attending trainings, workshop, and so on. And ada juga yang nothing but very small percentage lah. Okay, this one is based on the 700 respondents in a study done in 2013. How you ensure you're constantly developing as a leader, and then we can see a lot of research. Okay, a lot of research where they try to find out the leadership style. Okay, men, women. Um, One of the study that I kind of is leadership. One of the study, but I forgot the outcome. Um, but I think that the study is quite interesting, where they studied about leadership style in a family business, right? Family run business. So it might be different compared to, working with someone else. So when you are in a family run business and then you have one organization, maybe you now your co-workers ataupun your fellow um, managers ke apa ke are your family members. So how to keep it professional? Okay, because you do share another life with them, right? Outside the work. So how to and definitely it will affect when you go to work as well. So something like that. Okay, different situation. Your leadership style might be different. Mm, it's not easy to lead family members unless taught them to be professional. Yeah, that's I think so, right? It's totally different than company yang kita kerja macam we didn't know anyone. I mean, lepas easier to say lah, okay, kalau not organizational speaking, lepas balik rumah tak jumpa you, balik kampung tak jumpa you dah. I just jumpa you dekat office saja kan. But having a family run business, provided that most of the team members, all the team members might be your family. So even though that you are brought up with same culture at home ataupun in your family, but I don't think it's easy when it comes to professional setting. Uh, you guys can check it out lah, the study later. The key characteristic of charismatic leader. Okay, we have another. Nanti mak tak ada topik dengan anak sembang kerja. Yeah, okay. So another thing, I'm not sure if they have it here. Kejap lah. Let me see what are the things here. Okay. And then okay. Ada charismatic leadership. Okay, tak apa. All right. So one of the characteristic, okay, one of the distinctive characteristic as a leader is what to compare between people who are a leader and not a leader is based on their charisma. Okay. For those who can give me your personal definition, kalau definition yang academic tak payahlah kan, but if you can tell me your own personal definition of how do you perceive charisma, what do you think when I said someone has a charisma of a leader? So what do you think it means? Okay, so kalau character according to this, you guys can write down as well. So according to this, if you are a charismatic leader, so these are some characteristics that you should have. All right. The first one is vision and articulation. Right. Vision and articulation means that you can see further. You can see in the bigger picture. You can have a good apa orang panggil. You can think forward. Right. You have goals. You have something that you believed in. Right. And then that is understandable to others lah. Okay. I'm sorry, but it's not you have a vision but not short sendiri punya vision ataupun people don't understand. Okay, so that one is yes, you have vision but maybe not that charismatic. So you can have visions, you can have the goals objective, but make sure it's understandable or it's relevant to others, right? Relevant in the organizational setting, right? And then in terms of personal risk, you are willing to take on high personal risk. However, it must be bukannya orang panggil what do we call it? You are being careful on it lah. Okay, after consideration, right? And then another thing is this one. Okay, self-sacrifice to achieve the vision means that self-sacrifice means that you will do you yourself, your own body will do anything to get ataupun to achieve the vision. Let's say if you have a vision, but then you make people without you yourself articulate it, do it. So it's not charismatic leader as well. Okay, it's not charismatic as well, because to become for someone who is charisma enough, he or she takes the first one who takes a step, the first one to be proactive in achieving the vision. Sacrifice, if let's say in terms of nowadays kan in the workplace, we have heard a lot of problem where kerja banyak and then more than working hours that we're supposed to work with lah. Okay, too many jobs. So as a charismatic leader, instead of people spend most of their time working towards achieving your goal, you also there, right? You sacrifice about your time, you sacrifice your energy to achieve the vision yourself, right? And then sensitive to your followers' needs. Okay, so now you can see that in terms of vision, okay, it's a visionary, it's a very someone who has goals, someone and willing to take risks, willing to sacrifice to be the role model and so on. And not only that, but in terms of interpersonal skill, in terms of relationship within the leader member exchange again, relation, it's sensitive to their followers' needs. Okay, so the perspective of other abilities and responsive to their needs and feelings. I know I'm not in the place to say, because I'm not a leader in the faculty or whatnot, but as a follower, or as a team member, sometimes sometimes not all the time, okay. All I wanted lah, not we, all I wanted is listen to them a little bit lah, okay, in terms of feelings, right? Even though that be professional, it doesn't mean that doesn't involve feelings. Okay, bukanlah feelings yang macam yang we have at home, or I mean, kind of feelings when we frustrated of, let's say, if we do something and then we know the right way to do it. We know that this is the plan, right? However, when we present it to you, and then rather than listen carefully, all you think, I know, okay, I know in management they have a certain things that they can't, it's like beyond their power ke, ataupun they just can't make decision because they are apa orang panggil tu, their hands are tied ke apa, I'm not sure lah. Okay, if we presented something and then this cannot be done, this cannot be done. So at some point, in terms of feelings, I will feel quite disappointed, and then it's like demotivated, to perform further, because I know that based from the experience, I know that if I put my apa orang panggil tears and sweats into this, but in the end, it's not going to work, or it might not get attention ke apa ke, so I won't do it anymore, right? Because based on the experience. So now, as a worker, as a dedicated worker, I tend to do less than what I tend to not use my fully potential ataupun full skill. So those kind of feelings, yang demotivated, yang apa orang panggil, like frustrated. So as a leader, sometimes maybe it's not the those feelings. It's just like the demotivated feelings, right? Where, let's say, if you could be more sensitive with it, maybe you can get employees who have so much potential, right? But because of the feelings that is not treated lah, so they tend to do less, right? To be honest, I really cannot work in the environment yang ala kadar, okay? Because tak puas. Macam if you do, I'm not sure what's in English, okay, ala kadar, janji ada, because how to measure the performance after that, right? And then to be honest, yes, I do receive like a sarcastic, peduli apa kan? I mean, like a sarcastic things like kalau dia ni memang macam ni, macam tu. I mean, so what, right? Maybe if we go back to here, that one need for achievement a little bit rather than need for affiliation. But no, for me, I think in organization, I need both lah. Need for affiliation and achievement. Okay. It's just that I mean, for feelings, can your employees might get all those kind of feelings. That is just one example. Okay, the frustrated, the demotivated feelings. Unconventional behavior. Okay, engage in behaviors that are perceived as novel and counter to norms. Okay, so charismatic leaders are born or made. Okay, so some individuals are born with the charismatic leaders trait. Okay, one of it yang macam apa? What do we call that? Apa tu? Introvert and extrovert, for example, ataupun shy and confident. Okay, so maybe some were born with a little bit shy, a little bit not used to speak in front of people. They are not too confident and so on. Okay, and maybe but it can be trained, right? In terms of communication, having a good communication, it can be trained. And yeah, okay. So I mean, for charismatic leader, yes, you are lucky. Okay, for all the leaders, you are lucky if you were born with the traits that can be very helpful in your working life. But if you are not, all of this, we have a lot of trainings, a lot of workshop to get your leadership skill. Okay? And then you can develop your aura, right? Use your passion to generate enthusiasm. Another thing is the what do we call it? The contemporary punya contemporary punya theories, we have what did I talk just now? Oh, this one, enthusiasm. Hold on, let me. So another leadership style is um, if later if I can nampak ke, I can go through again. Okay. What do we call them? It's too many. Okay, now it's too many, right? Under contemporary, it's too many leadership style now. All right. So how this one done? The dark side of charismatic leadership. Okay, so many leaders don't necessarily act in the best interest of their company. Many have allowed their personal goals to override the goals of organization. Individuals who are narcissistic are also higher in some behaviors associated with charismatic leadership. Okay, so this is like another view of it. So if you have traits of a charismatic leadership, it might be appeared like you are a narcissistic. All right, next is this one is very famous. We have transactional and transformational leadership under contemporary theories of leadership. Widely used. All right, transactional and transformational. If you are a transactional leadership, no, okay, sorry. Yeah, this one. Okay. So if we try to compare between transactional leadership and transformational leadership, so let's take a look at the meaning. For transactional leadership, this one is the leader use rewards and punishment to motivate their followers, all right? By using the, like what we have learned just now, the positional power. And then for transformational leadership, instead of using rewards and punishment, you use your charismatic traits and then your enthusiasm to motivate and to inspire your followers. The concept here is the leader emphasizes the relationship with the followers, but for transformational, they focus more on the followers' values, their ideals, their morals, and needs. Right? Nature, this one is responsive. Responsive meaning that, let's say, again, because of the emphasize the relationship with the followers, so whatever the follower do or not do, so it will be responsive by giving rewards and punishment. That's that. But the nature of transformational leadership is active by getting to know more. It's not, it doesn't really wait for the followers to do things, but they will inspire them. Okay, the thing that transformational leadership always associate with um, promoting innovation lah, and then having a good two-way communication, okay, all the good culture yang that practices. A lot of company has started to shift to those practices. Okay, like a traditional company who do cukup sekadar like do their work, everybody have their task, just follow your task, not really initiate for innovation ke ataupun For culture, it has been there, so everyone just come to the company and then follow, adapt, and so on. So that one is most of it is under transactional leadership. Okay, more traditional in your company. Okay, for example, like style here, you can see like a bureaucratic, not so much room for changes, all right, because they have a clear structure. If you take a look at bureaucratic punya, management theory, right, it's very difficult for us to change because it's like very clear already, the structure. Kalau for company that is more, it can be like a flat structure, it can be hybrid and so on, right? Best for busy environment. Okay, this one busy environment. This one is a turbulent environment. It's like I've mentioned to you, like it's open for change, open for adapting new culture, and so on. Okay, work for development and existing organization culture. This one is changing the corporate culture. How many leaders can be there? Okay, one, because of why? Sorry, because of why? Because the again the position, the power tadi kan, the legitimate power too. So if you are a transactional leadership, you can use rewards, punishment. So you, in terms of formal power, legitimate power, only one lah. But for transformational leadership, it can be also like tadi kan kita belajar macam non-functional leadership, informal one can also be in the organization ataupun in this kind of, if you practice it, transformational leadership in the culture. So it might be several leaders can be there. Focus on planning and execution. Okay, you have your thoughts and then just do it. Just now, right? I mentioned that this company is focused more on innovation. So what are the motivational tool that they use is attract supporters by putting their interests first. This one is attract supporters by focusing on the interests of the company. Widely used, okay? If in explaining characteristic in explaining leadership style ataupun to determine, a lot of study is using transactional dengan transformational to identify. So here you can see for transactional, exchange of reward, promise reward for good performance, and then recognize accomplishment. Intervenes only when standards are not met. Okay. Compared to kalau transformational, they can provide inspiration. So it doesn't mean that intervene to benda yang buruk, means intervene like regularly, maybe check out or ask for ideas ataupun involve you in problem solving and so on lah. Okay, and then another thing, okay, in terms of transformational leaders, this one, okay, individualized consideration ataupun personalized consideration, where you give personal attention, treats each other employee individually. So this is one of the distinctive characteristic kalau compare the transactional leader dengan transformational leader. Okay, banyak kerja sikit lah transformational leader, right? So you have to understand each and everyone, their preference, their style, and so on. You have to treat each employee individually, right? And then not just become as a manager to them, but you also coach them, advise them, become a role model, become a source of inspiration to them. Okay, I think I have covered the part of for leadership theories. So let's take a look at but we have a lot more actually, young new theories. Okay, leadership styles and management. Okay, so we have because we have too many now, so we have a 7 leadership. So you guys can take a look into lah to find out more. Because more study, okay, when they do more study, they find out everyone wants to contribute something, right? So they identify new, but basically it's just the same. but sometimes for certain leadership style, it can be applied in a certain company lah, in a certain, not company, as in a certain culture or environment. We have servant leadership, and then we also have what is that another thing? Okay, even democratic. Okay, democratic leadership is one trait in transformational as well. Okay, to become a democratic leader. Charismatic, bureaucratic. Okay, let's take a look at this. The transformational. Apa ni banyak-banyak? Let me just take it out first. Okay, so autocratic and democratic. Okay. So for autocratic and democratic leadership style, this one focus, not focus. It is based on authority, right? In terms of making decision, and then where they portray power, okay, or they about possessing their power and then they execute it now, something like that. Right? So in autocratic, the name is autocratic, right? So I think that you have a view on how an autocratic leadership means, right? So this one is like an authoritarian leadership where the top leaders will hold all the rights to make decision, right, without consulting ataupun without involving the employees in their decision making, in the business processes and so on, right? So employees consideration have no value, to senang cerita, like I don't need your opinion, you have to do what you have to do lah, right? And then not, they won't take employees, apa orang panggil, ideals ataupun preference to integrate that with the company goals and policy, right? So rarely take input from their subordinates. So they enjoy full authority and they're responsible for the performance of the organization. But it doesn't mean that this is if you practice this, okay, if you practice autocratic leadership, means that you provide guideline. Definitely you provide guideline. It's just that you don't involve consult. There is less consult with your employees, and then most of the thing comes from you, okay, your decision. But for other leadership activity, for example, giving instructions, provide apa orang panggil, command and so on, yes lah, you do it. And employee are supposed to accept orders and commands unquestionably, right? So if you remember the group study that the group study that we talked about just now, right? Malaysia is one of the country that practice autocratic leadership lah, because we have ni kan, I mean in government as well, because it's too bureaucratic, it's too and Malaysian culture, we have trained ni bukan I yang cakap, this study yang cakap the culture here, but I think it's changing, This one, because when I learned this globe study, it has been like what, tahun berapa, um, uh, 10 years back. Okay, 10 years back. So things are changing. Malaysian employees are trained to say yes, boss, right? We are not supposed to voice out ataupun but the word in the group study use is we have a high respect to the bosses, to the leaders, right? So in our culture, in several countries, the culture saying yes, okay, very obedient to the leader, okay. And then democratic leadership, if the leader asks for opinion from others but in the end, um what I can say is maybe in order for you to know more, we can ask apa orang panggil tu, what's the criteria ataupun what makes them choose their opinion instead. But is it bukan maksudnya you, hello, sorry I mute for a while. Okay. For me, if you were asking me, okay, autocratic leadership means that no, very less, okay, very less. But in this case, maybe, okay, maybe I'm not saying it's the concrete situation, but maybe what we can do is ask the leader what makes maybe our opinion is not workable. Okay, we work on our opinion lah. So what makes that it's not workable, so that in future we know what's the expectation and so on. Okay, not questions, not we don't questions the boss choices, but we ask them what is missing in my suggestion, in my opinion, so that next time maybe you know already that okay, this won't work. All right, this leader don't like this approach, so let's try to come up with the approach that match the leaders. So focus on what we do lah. Right. Democratic leadership, on the other hand, okay, so try to encourage a lot of participations from the employee. Okay, try to and then they realize the importance of employees' opinions, suggestions. Um, uh, Two-way communication is practices in this leadership style. All right, you guys can rate the others differences over here. Okay. What else? We do have servant, and then we also have the another one, but I can't remember. I think it's not that new lah. Something like genuine leadership style, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, where you portray your genuine self rather than, you know, when you are trained to be something, right? So you execute it. But if you have another leadership style yang macam genuine ni, okay, if I think maybe tak sedar kan later. So if you have like this genuine leadership style, means that it's not your apa orang panggil tu, your behavior is not seems like it is forced, but you have to become more genuine. Okay, for example, let's say if you are working in a room where a lot of your subordinates are males, and then you are a female leader. So in order for you to win their heart ataupun to make sure that execution in office happens efficient, so you tend to be like them, right? You tend to be like a male leadership, but without actually realizing your own potential. So it might not work as well because you are not genuine. So that is another findings in research. Okay, so what I can say about these theories subject ataupun these theories punya courses, there is no one fit all. Okay, you do this, it might not be, yeah. Okay, so blending should have boundaries. Instead of you losing your own identity, you are not being genuine because it seems like it is forced. All right, to have to become a leader, that is at some point, maybe right at some point, if it's not genuine, then you might have a sudden change because you know, as a human as well, we are so tired carrying something that is the burden of not being ourselves. So it works as well in the office where people can definitely detect or identify if you are not genuine enough. So that is another thing in leadership. Yeah. Okay. I think I have covered the leadership style. So and then where is the ethical? Okay, challenge. Okay, challenge. Where's the ethical part? Ethical. Dah terlepas. Okay. So another thing is yes, this is what I meant. Hush, susah gila. I'm sorry. Authentic leadership, okay? Genuine pula. So authentic leadership. So this is the thing that I'm looking for, right? Authentic leadership means that you know who you are, knowing what your belief in, and then the value, okay, and then act on those values, belief openly and candidly, right? So that people ataupun your followers will have, because if you are not real, if you are forced, if you are not being genuine with who you are, so maybe people would have faith in your style ataupun faith in your activity management styles, right? So this is another thing, okay, by become an authentic leader. Okay, lastly, ethical leadership. uh Whatever it is, right? Put aside the justification for feelings whatsoever, but you focus more on the rules, regulation, policies, and so on. Okay, you can become all this charismatic leader, but go back to the what we call as ethical leadership. Go back to doing the right things. Okay, values leader but who model ethical conduct, doing the right thing. Okay. So there is no abusive supervision because when we talk about leaders, some leaders they do abuse their power, their position power, right? Especially because they are the one who have the ability to give rewards and punishment. Okay. I hope that all of you are in a good conditions with your leader, and then you don't experience this abusive supervision, because it will, really drain you. Working in a hostile environment, right? By let's say if your leader, um, when instead of giving guidelines ataupun give a constructive feedback, but using a destructive feedback, and then you are apa orang panggil, use very harsh words, okay, being very verbal about your mistake, and then downgrading you and so on lah. So this is very tiring, very hostile. It's not worth it lah. For me, it's not worth it in the this that kind of environment. Okay, because why, it can affect your health, and then your mental health, emotional exhaustion, and also stress. Okay, and also this will make you, instead of become more motivated to do your work, this will become more like a apa orang panggil, um, a factors that makes you demotivate, right? When you are demotivated, then it will lead to less productivity, less organizational commitment, right? And maybe to make it worse, that later you will have like a work family conflict. Servant leadership we have covered. Okay, so that's all for this topic. Um, Next is for power and politics. Okay, if yeah, very good. Okay, please be a good leader. It's not just good for others, but it's good for us as well, right? Kurang sikit orang mengata kan. Kurang sikit orang yang doakan yang tak elok-elok. Okay, next is foreign politics. Right. So contrast leadership and power, like I've mentioned just now, right? If you are a leader, then definitely you have a certain power that you possess, but you also have power, even though that you are an informal leader. Okay, means that you are not the manager in terms of the organizational structure. You are not placed. You are not. We are not referring to the chain of command, but you also can have a special power if you know and if you obtain some things to make you are powerful. Okay, so we have five. So we have three bases of formal power, and then we have two bases of personal power. Okay. This is formal power and personal power. Okay, formal power means that if you are a legitimate leader, means that you are a formal leader, right? Reporting manager. So you have a coercive power, reward power, and legitimate power. And then for personal power means that you are not necessarily a leader, a manager, having a top position in the organization, but this one is more personal, where people, they follow you, or they become more inspired by you, or they just have an intent in apa tendency to follow what you say, to get to follow your order, to follow your principles and so on, which is expert power and also referring power. Kalau leader tu suka bagi gajus, apa ni? Aduh. Alright, ada explanation tak? Tak ada explanation tu kat dalam ni. Yeah. Okay, sebentar. Let's okay. So power, the capacity ataupun the ability to act in certain way and then you impose your will on others. Okay. So we have the basis of power. If you are a leader, then you should know that you have these three things, right? You have these three bases of power. No one can question you. All right. So just to give you the definition, legitimate power means that you have a formal power when you occupy a certain position in your organization. So based on your position, it will give you an authority lah within the company based on your job task, your job description. You have your own, authority to do your job, right? Is obtained through the demonstrating that you have the skill required for the role when they hire you at the first place. So you have a certain role to make. For example, like decision making in your daily activity, based on whatever that is agreed upon when they are hiring you. Reward power means that they have a capacity to offer rewards and benefit in exchange for carrying out tasks or achieving a result. And this can be in the form of raises, benefits, promotion. So you can see this reward power. You can access this during the performance review, and then you can have the authority lah to determine what kind of benefit, what kind of form of rewards that is appropriate. Try this type of power may help to achieve results, but not necessarily ensure the support of commitment of your employees. And then next is your expert power. So, hold on, not that. Coercive power first, okay? So for coercive power, this is another formal power that you have in your workplace, yet this is least effective, all right? So coercive power means that involving threats. Coercive, right? You force, you threat. Because you have, again, in order for you to have a coercive power, you have certain positions lah, where it can be you are the right person, or you are in the right position to exercise this power. For example, in many companies, leaders demand constant innovation and new idea. So those who doesn't measure are being replaced by someone else. Okay, coercive power. So this one, it can lead to unhappiness in workplace, and then can affect in the employee retention efforts. Hold on. Okay. And then next is informal power. Okay, informal power, we have two, which is expert power. Expert power, let's say in a workplace, if you are if you are followers, ataupun if you are an employee, so you might you can get expert power and referent power by having a very, very good knowledge, right, in your field of expertise. So when you are the expert in your field, people in the company naturally come to you to benefit from your knowledge. So now you have, instead of your position to access your power, you have your brains, you have your minds, you have your skills and experience for you to express your expert power. People will trust you in making decision because of your deep knowledge, right? And then you will respect your opinions. So this is actually a good practice for all of us, okay, all of us employees, to build a knowledge, to build deep knowledge, so that when we give opinions, when we give suggestions, it can become, people will look up to you, right? You can influence people, or maybe people will come to you to seek your opinion. So in a way, later you will feel like mattered, and then you feel like you are actually contributing something to your organization, like you will feel valued and so on. And similar with referent power as well. Okay, referent powers is that someone, when you have do you remember the charismatic aura just now? So actually, for if you are not a leader in a formal position, but if you have a referent power, means that you have a certain charismatic aura with you. So there are some qualities that people will go to you because you possess a good interpersonal skill, and then like I've mentioned, okay, this will make you like natural leaders. People are easy talking to you, and maybe they will they do things, right? They do things naturally, like a leader, where they listen to their colleagues, co-workers, providing guideline and so on. So in my previous workplace, we have this one person. We have this one person. I can see that she is actually a true representative of referent power. Definitely, like she has a certain position power as well, but the rest of it, even most of the decision making, even the top position people will come to her and then get the expert power. Okay, try to get information from her, and then also have a good reference power, um, this is a power that cannot be handled by someone else. This one is just you have it naturally, right? And then that's the way that your colleague view you. You have this reference power. Yeah, it means that you have this. It might be reference power ataupun and another thing is because you are a leader as well, right? So by having extra expert power and reference power, so people are very comfortable looking answers from you, try to get you orang panggil your opinion lah and so on. All right. Yeah. And another thing for expert power, but this is not a good example. Okay, that it's not good for the how to say this. I'm not sure. You guys decide lah whether it's good or not. So I have this one colleague before this. He is very, very, very knowledgeable. We are talking about professors that has like plenty of working experience, plenty of papers. He is actually not from my faculty. um, this is from another faculty, and then one of the thing that I mean, this is not good. This is not good, so please don't follow this. So this professor is very old. Okay, very old. And then this professor is not here, not in Uniraza. Okay. So this professor don't care one thing. Okay, one thing that he don't care is attendance ataupun punctuality. Okay, not janganlah record. Okay, not punctuality, not attendance. Okay, come and go wherever he likes. Because professor, normally in education sector, when you become a professor and so on, you have less teaching hours. Okay, for me, I'm not in the research track, so I have a lot of teaching hours. So for this professor, most of the time, it is required for them to come up with journal article or research, involved in research. And some more, he is actually from a faculty involved with a lot of experiments, medical experiments and so on. So tak ada banyak teaching power, so it doesn't necessarily for him to be in the campus to teach, right? If let's say for writing, can be anywhere. Okay, but my previous but the company that I worked with before this, masa tu kan we don't have a flexi arrangement, and then we don't have COVID also that time. So attendance are very bad. Okay, during lunchtime, go back at 12, come back at 3 o'clock. But they cannot do anything, they cannot do anything to him. Nak hantar warning letter ke, nak suruh terminate ke, come for disciplinary hearing ke apa ke, no. Because why? Because he has this, expert power. People need him. He knows everything in terms of medical, any kind of knowledge. The university need him as well, not just for expert power, but for the reputation of the university as well. Because journal article, apa orang panggil, a very good one, right? This one will go back to setara lah, QR ranking lah, apa QS ke QR. Ya Allah. Alright, so I mean, this is not a good practice lah, because you as an employee, but very old, okay, very old. So maybe if kena buang kerja pun means that tak kisah pun, right? Because you know, all these professors mostly because they have retired from medical job. They were a doctor before this, and then retired. So university will employ them to teach, right? So yeah, so normally when he sees me, he always say that, wow, when you want to collaborate research paper, business and medical. I was like, oh my god, I ni tunggu masa je you kena buang dengan you punya perangai ni. Okay, so but again, he said that no, they will never terminate me because they need me, right? I'm not sure where he is now. I think maybe in the same university, I'm not sure, but that is one of expert power. Because you know, you have like so much knowledge, people need you, people, and then because of those things, it's not good. I know it's not good, the practice, but again, right? Yeah, not good example. Okay, go back to this very quickly. So what creates this one, right? So explain the role of dependence in power relationship. So we have influence tactic, legitimacy, rational persuasion, inspirational appeals, consultation, exchange, and so on. So you can this one, all right? So in giving ataupun to access this power, right? So let's say if you are trying to give an upward influence, so rational persuasion tactics might be appropriate. And then you can see here in terms of downward influence and then lateral influence, those tactics might work best, all right, in exercising the power. Okay, next topic, all right. This is where we call about politics, okay, political skill or politics in organization. Very sensitive topic, right? And then whether we like it or not, we have politics, okay, office politics, we cannot run from it, and we have a lot of studies, we have a lot of research, try to identify the resources of it, and then they want to find measures lah, how to minimize this office politics. And then office politics as well can be I mean, let's take a look at the apa orang panggil consequences, right? So the cause and consequences of abuse of power. So actually when you have okay, how does politics affected by power is by having power, you sometimes that there might be a chance where it can be abused, right? Corrupt you, okay, with there's a certain power because you have a certain authority to do things, a legitimate one especially. So sometimes it can be corrupted by putting your own interest compared to the company's interest ataupun others' interest. Okay, so that's power corrupt. Power leads people to place their own interest ahead of others. That's why before this, let's say if you are an employee, I'm pretty sure, okay, I'm pretty sure once you become a leader, your perspective, your view will change, okay. As an employee, we see that this company should do this, should do that to us, right? But when we become in the top leader position, we know that what are the things that what can be what can be done and what not. Apa yang tak boleh nak buat, okay, there are some limitation. Now you see the limitation, you see the rationale behind every decision has made before this, okay. Masa when we become an employee, we might not understand the rationale behind every single implementation, every single execution in office, okay. So when we have a certain power, so maybe it will change your perspective, okay. But if you are using it for a different purpose, okay, especially if you are placing your own interest, might be, okay, you are corrupting the it's a power corrupt lah. However, right? However, I do understand a lot of my friends said that when they become a leader, they have to, they have to follow the work policy. They have to, it's not about putting themselves first, but they have to protect their job as well. All right. When we are an employee, maybe we didn't see that, right? We didn't see um, whatever things that we do have consequences to it, our leader, because they are the one who will menjawab dekat atas sana. Okay, dekat atas sana means dekat office lah, dekat top position people. So when they become a leader, whether they like it or not, they have to protect themselves, they have to protect their work. So maybe, right? Maybe I'm not saying that one is place their own interest. It's just that if provided that they are being ethical, okay, they are being ethical. It's just that, yeah, all right, they have to protect a certain part lah. Okay, but it doesn't mean that this one plays on interest. For example, if you are using it for an unethical purpose, okay, by having apa conflict of interest ke ataupun right, put your own interest, manipulate things ke ataupun you made your employee become like a punching bag for you ke. Okay, we do have those cases, right, where you have to answer to top management and then you bully, okay, workplace bullying your subordinates and so on, right? But some people look like yes, okay, it's very, that's why like when we learn this theory, there is no one fit all. It's the way that we try to understand and we execute it appropriately. That's all. Powerful people react especially negatively to any threats to their competence, right? Again, like especially it's like it's a pyramid, right? It's a pyramid. You have to compete to get a very few positions up there. The more top position, the more less space there. So you have to compete, and let's say if you are competing with a person who also wants the same position, so maybe, right, they will react especially negatively when there is any threats. Power leads to overconfident decision making, and power doesn't affect anyone in the same way, and there are even positive effects of power, right? Yeah, all right. We need to see both sides. With great power comes great responsibility. Yep. Okay. So one of the famous case, right? Famous case is sexual harassment, where I think, okay, I think when I learned this topic few years ago during my diploma, during my degree, my lecturers always associate sexual harassment activity on unethical activity between employers and employee, right? Employers and employee. Because why? One of the power abuse. Okay, one of the power abuse is by create this harassment, this kind of harassment, or if you don't not comply, if you are not, how to say, if you make a report ke ataupun if you are not I don't find I can't find the right word to say, and you will be punished, for example. Okay, so when they do this harassment, when you voice it out, or if you don't response in the way that this employer wants ataupun this leader wants, and then there will be consequences for you. So this is what I've learned before this, right, during my study time. But what I can see now here, right, it's not that case anymore, right? It can happen apa orang panggil tu literally in the literal chain, means that not in vertical anymore. Vertical anymore. It can be like in horizontal punya. People are making sexual harassment even though that it's not apa orang panggil, not employer-employee things anymore. Okay, so what they have to do, managers have responsibility to protect their employees from hostile work environment, but also need to protect themselves, right? Um, Organizations have generally made progress in the past decade towards limiting overt form of sexual harassment. Right? This is one of the very famous. When I was in my study, so one of the abuse of power is sexual harassment, and then another one is bullying. Okay, bullying, well, and conflict of interest, definitely, right? Bullying means that instead of portraying as a good leader, to execute your work fairly, and just, and so on, and then instead of doing that, you tend to give everything to your employees, and then without having a proper knowledge as well, you manipulate them, you exploiting them, something like that. Okay, abuse of power. So managers should have an active policy, right? Define the sexual harassment, and then make sure that there is a room for complaints. It's not just sexual harassment, any kind of power abuse need to have a. That's why again nowadays we can see a lot of company, they have this apa orang panggil tu, a channel where they can do complaints, right? An ethical channel. It can be a hotline, it can be an email, it can be apa tu, actually a channel for people to speak up, to create more ethical environment in the company, right? Because we want to try to reduce this abuse of power. And then as a manager, you should investigate every complaint and include the legal and human resource departments, right? Because they are the one, HR department works very closely with the law, okay, with the employment law, company law, and everything lah. So they are the one who can see, can apa orang panggil tu, advise you in terms of the legal and so on. Okay, so another thing when we talk about politics, when we talk about power, is office politics, right? So political behavior is actually activity that is not required in one's formal role in organization, but that influence the distribution of advantage within the organization, right? So it involves maybe like selecting bias, for example, maybe it can be bias, again, conflict of interest, and then all those unethical things. For example, like you are withholding information, you are giving information, right, but not in the right channel, spreading rumors, and then leaking confidential information. So these are the factors that influence political behavior. We have two major factors: individual and also organizational factors. So when trying to identify, like, if your office, we have a lot of politics, we cannot run from it. And definitely we'll have office politics, whether it's in a level that is tolerable or very apa orang panggil, intolerable, too many office politics, until, because it will affect, okay, it will affect if you are not the key player, if you are not playing the game, right, it will affect you. For example, like, you will not go anywhere, you will stay wherever you are no matter how good you are. So that's how it will affect you, okay, political office politics, because they are not fair, they are not just in making one of it, performance review, right? There are another criteria that they look into, okay, for example, like macam tadi lah, okay, chronism, okay, chronism, someone that they felt they are more comfortable, even though in terms of performance we are exceeding them, we are the one that most deserving, for example, okay. So individual factors is high self-monitors, okay, and then internal locus of control. Try to find more information about this, and I'm sure in Coursera as well. Later you have to finish your Coursera, so try to listen to the lectures as well, right? And then perceived job alternative, expectation of success. Okay, organizational factors. What are the factors that can influence political behavior? Is in terms of reallocation of resources, there is low trust in the organization, and then maybe in terms of role ambiguity, it exists as well. Role ambiguity means that people are not really clear on what their role, their responsibility should be. Unclear performance evaluation system, like I've mentioned just now, right, in terms of zero-sum reward practice and others. Okay, so try to read this, right? Try to read about this more, find more information about this before answering your final assessment later, right? One of your assessment later will about political behavior. So find more information and then you can learn from that, the factors that can influence political behavior. If you want to screenshot or you want to take note, this is the slide, very important, but you have to find more information on this to answer your final assessment. Okay, this slide. I give you 5 seconds to screenshot, to put a note or anything. This is chapter power, slide berapa ni? I pun tak tahu slide berapa. Sorry. Tak ada slide. Okay. Alright. And then the consequences of political behavior, like I've mentioned, will be like this decreased job satisfaction because you are not treated fairly. You are not, a lot of needs, a lot of things that can't be met, right? And it will lead to anxiety and stress because, involving in office politics is very draining. You won't feel heard, you won't feel seen, right? Then definitely if it's not treated carefully, it can increase turnover in organization, right? So one of the downside of it is organization, you will lose good talents, right? You will lose good talents, and it's very difficult for you to retain good ones after that because of the reputation, because people talk, right? Especially I'm not sure about any other industry, but in education, you pusing lah dekat celah mana pun, you will met someone who knows someone, okay, in the education. So reputation really matters, whether you like it or not. Okay, reputation really matters, and both reputation for university and reputation for employees, right? So you really need to take care, okay, of the reputation, or else you will face increased turnover. And then definitely it will reduce performance because people are busy playing politics rather than focus on their actual tasks, focusing on the teamwork, the good, positive environment in the organization, right? And then it will become like a, apa orang panggil, what is that? The term, people are not fighting. People are living in fear, right? Increased anxiety. People live in fear. It's like you are in a fight mode all the time, right? And then you have to be very conscious about your position, about your work, about your ideas, everything. So it's not really healthy working in this kind of environment. Okay, so that sums in everything up, right?